Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Constantly Calibrating. We are here doing a special episode. We had finished up for the year, but we did want to come back and do a special Star Wars spoiler cast for you today concerning Rogue One. However, the darndest of timing, we have lost Carrie Fisher today, so we will be covering that in the first few minutes here as well. I have with me Josh, Justin, and Ryan. And,
Wish up.
This is kind of weird coming right off the Christmas break, and, was something I was excited to do with you guys, and now it's not quite there anymore, but...
The pep is a little dead.
Yeah, this is like the best time to do a Star Wars episode, but also the worst time to do a Star Wars episode.
Yeah, we all kind of knew this was coming, but then there was that ray of hope there for a moment, where we thought Carrie Fisher was going to die at the end of last week before Christmas, and then, word came out from her mom, Debbie Reynolds, that she was in stable condition, which 3 different places forgot to change their Facebook posts and posted that she was in stable condition 2 hours after her death was pronounced today.
Ew.
That was fun seeing that. Technically accurate. Carrie Fisher would have appreciated the horrible joke of that, I feel. But, that being said, yeah, we kind of prepared and then de-prepared, and then it kind of just came about kicking the crotch. I made the mistake of looking at Twitter while I was with my brother-in-law, nephew, and son at the Children's Museum, and had to go in the corner and sob of the toddler room. So that was because I just didn't know emotionally how to react.
And now you never want to go back there again.
A little bit.
Yeah, I got the text at work from Kristen. It just kind of came out of nowhere because, like you said, I was like, oh, she's stable. She's a fighter. She's gonna be all right. He didn't see anything in the news like her condition is changing. It's just, she's gone. And I had the same thing. I was just like, I hope people at work don't think I'm weird. They were asking me about Star Wars this morning because I had somebody got me a Darth Vader mug for Christmas that I was drinking. I was like, "Oh, you're a big Star Wars fan." I was like, "I do dabble within the Force, And, it hit me hard, Harder
Coincidentally, Charnel, myself, and Roran all had Star Wars shirts on today. It wasn't planned. It just happened to be. We all just happened to put Star Wars shirts on. She changed last minute. Roran, it was the only clean shirt we had for him, and 50% of my wardrobe is Mass Effect, 40% is Star Wars. So it's just, it happens kind of thing. So it was just like one of those things. And, I just started crying trying to talk to my brother-in-law about it. Like, he's not quite understanding. And he's like, well, sorry about your Star Wars death is what he said to me, because he didn't know how to really respond. There was nothing negative about it. It just was, he did not know how to, and I couldn't verbalize the words at the time. It's like, look, I'm upset that Princess Leia is dead, because Carrie Fisher at various points in my life has been a sister figure, a mother figure, a grandmother figure, and probably my first crush. In this weird, severely incestuous Oedipus complex kind of thing, but that she's been all of those things at different points in my life. And and of course I'm sad about that. And and I was telling Charnel, I'm like, I'm upset because one of the most important women, and not just women, people in the film industry has, died. She was a writer, a director. Most people, it's been posted 100 times on Facebook and everywhere, but she was, a script doctor. For those who don't know, is a person who usually goes uncredited and is responsible for fixing scripts, doctoring scripts to make them better. She worked on Empire Strikes Back, Phantom Menace. She worked on Hook. She worked on, if you look at the list, there's 35 movies listed before you get to the and more. She's worked on so many other movies to just, tweak them, to make them better, to make them flow better. Scream 3, which she was also in Scream 3. And just lots of other things. But the most important thing Carrie Fisher was, and important for me, was she was an advocate for mental illness. And for the normalization of it, and the understanding that there are perfectly typical people out there who suffer silently with mental illness. And she was very outspoken about her bipolar disorder and other aspects, especially in the latter half of her life. And losing a mental health advocate is the most horrifyingly sad thing for me, especially in a world that does not understand mental illness whatsoever. And as someone who is, I'm pretty sure 150 years ago would be certifiably insane. It's very important. So.
I don't really know if you need to go that far back, but
I'm probably, if we really delved into it, I'm pretty sure now I'd be certifiable, but hey, cheers.
We're all mad here.
It's just, you know, you don't figure that it'll be the ones that always is, you know, that's 2 this year. We lost Kenny in August, and that seems like it was a year ago, but it was actually just, you know,
that was August?
Ago.
God, I knew that was this year, but I thought that was way earlier in the year.
And you know, you sit there and you're like, man, I figure it'll be Peter, because Peter's been in terrible health for years. You know, you figure it'll be Oz or, you know, Jones, but no, it's the young ones we're losing first. It's so odd.
Yeah, she was only 60, and I'm gonna be blunt, like, she was not of. Again, I thought Peter Mayhew would go next just because of health issues. We've tried to be lighthearted joking about it because you gotta have to find some humor in these things. I assumed he'd be next, but of the 3 of the original trilogy, I always thought Harrison Ford would be the first to go, just because he's the oldest person and he keeps getting into plane accidents.
Yeah, that's what to say. Many close calls.
Like, I mean, and having the Millennium Falcon crash and crush his leg. Like, he keeps having these horrifying things happen to him. And it almost, horrible comment, would have been fitting with his character being gone from the movies now, you know. It kind of thing. So it was just like, I always thought she would be the last to go of almost everyone in the cast. But yeah, my understanding still of what happened is, you know, she had a heart attack from, in part, being on a long flight, as happens to people. And yeah,
she the few things I've seen, she was suffering from stress and anxiety on the flight already.
Yeah,
and they were about 15 minutes out from LA when it started or happened, and unfortunately that was probably just too long. Like, a heart attack is something that you can recover from only really if you're close by to medical area.
Yep.
And the longer you go without treatment for that, the less your chances of coming back from it. It's just a very, very it's dangerous.
It's dangerous, and
people don't understand that, I think, how dangerous heart attacks really are.
And nowadays it's actually more dangerous for women. And I mean, it's dangerous for everyone, but here's why. Most of us know the symptom of a heart attack, the tingling in the arm, the copper taste, that stuff like that. Here's the thing. I was reading up on it before she died. That's actually only really symptoms for men. Women, it's usually nausea, cramping, stomach pain kind of stuff is actually how it presents more for women. Things that a lot of women deal with all the time. So a lot of women actually have heart attacks and never know. I mean, they could, smaller ones that they can recover from, they may not know. And other ones, they'll die of, or something will happen because they don't realize they've had a heart attack because they're not taught the proper symptoms. So the one thing I say to any either female viewers / listeners we have, or male viewers who have a sister or a mother or a daughter or someone or a wife or someone, do some research. Because it's good to know, obviously, they knew what was going on with her quickly, so that wasn't the case, and there wasn't anything to do at the moment, but still, it's good stuff to be aware of.
Indeed.
And unless anyone else wants to fill in last things, the only other thing I could say is, memorialize or celebrate her life however you so choose to, but the best advice I can give is, if you are suffering from any, the lovely mental illnesses that many of us suffer from, talk to your friends and family about that as well. We say this whenever anyone dies of other stuff, but it's actually good just because she was an advocate for it, Talk to friends and family, try to figure out what's going on with yourself, whatever that may be, and get the help you need. And
yeah, I was about to say,
it's what she would want.
Only just friends and family. If you even want to leave them out there, at least get help. That's kind of the first step, and there's no shame in that. People are incredibly open about it.
Yep, I mean,
tweet. we'll be there for you.
Yeah, I'll be there for you. I'm going to be writing a very lengthy post about mental
The
illness
Concal
tonight that I've
helpline.
noted out. No, I'm dead serious. If you're suffering in some way, shape, or form and need to talk to someone, I've played therapist to almost everyone I know at this point once or twice, and I am not a licensed person who could tell you what to do, but I will listen happily.
We may not have all the answers, but we'd be willing to at least point you in the right direction.
Exactly. But that being said, how about we switch gears? Say a final goodbye, Carrie Fisher. For one reason or another, we have all loved you. And, whatever you want to believe, hopefully she's resting well. That being said, let's move on to something happier. Or potentially happier, depending on opinions. Let's talk Rogue One. We have not had a chance to actually talk to anyone about it. Justin's heard a few of my thoughts in passing, as has Brad, but we really haven't actually spoken. Aside from like a message here, a message there about it. So, first thoughts, kind of thing. Did everyone like the movie?
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it.
No.
No.
We're split.
It's a good
Now-
no.
Now here is my defense.
I want to hear
It is a good movie, but I didn't like it as a Star Wars movie.
Oh, see, we're on a different side of the fence there. I didn't think it was a good movie, but I liked it as a Star Wars movie.
How?
I was
Okay.
I liked Phantom Menace the first 2 times I saw it, and then I started
Yeah,
to
that sounded
dislike
like you had to like come to admit that, like we're in like a circle group's like, I gotta admit it, I like Phantom Menace.
No, in the early podcasts when Steve and I talked about it, we talked about the fact that both of us don't really, we both like the prequels. We have major issues with them, but I am more readily able to find, less problems with it. But I continue to be on the opposite side of the mainstream with Star Wars movies because, I liked Attack of the Clones initially. It's now one of my most hated movies, but I liked it initially. Revenge of the Sith, I liked originally, and I still love it. One of my favorite Star Wars films. But Rogue One was the first Star Wars movie I've ever walked out of the theaters and was like, I don't know how I feel. And I was trying to figure out if it was because I was super tired. We saw a late movie. And Charles and my friend Christine and I just stayed up talking. We both had the same thing. Like simultaneously we said to each other, like, was I just really tired or was that just not a good movie? And we're like, oh, you thought that too? And it was like almost like this weird acceptance thing because I hated the first 2/3 of the movie. However, I think the third act is the best thing Star Wars has ever done.
Yes, I will say about those two, and like this is no excuse for a movie that you need to see it twice to appreciate it, but seeing it again, like everything that happens at the beginning makes more sense. But I guess that's the main problem. Like everybody who says, what do you not like about the movie? It's usually the first 30 minutes or first 40, however you want to look at the whole introduction to it.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's some of the best cinematography in Star Wars. I think it is actually pretty overall good writing. My 2 major gripes is I think and I think the sound effects are great. I think the music is, I won't even say bad because I thought it was non-existent. I wasn't aware there was music in the movie.
I can agree on that, and I know this is a tiny gripe, but you have to have the crawl. Like,
No.
From the get, I was put off by not having the crawl.
This movie is a crawl.
Yeah, it
This is
really
literally the
is.
crawl to episode 4.
It's very slow.
So I disagree on the crawl. Completely.
The crawl and the anthem, the lack of the anthem too. It's just.
It's not just a lack of the anthem. It's like it's almost the anthem, and then it's not.
Chill
It's-
out, fanboy.
Like
It's
it builds
not
up
that
to
big
it, and
of
it's like womp.
I don't think that the lack of the crawl is that big of a deal, and I don't think even the lack of the anthem is that big of a deal. It was just that none of the music was, it wasn't even that it was not memorable. I literally could not hear that there was music at almost any point in the movie. There
Your
was,
theater sucks.
yeah, I just nothing stands out. There was no, Jin's theme. There was no theme for any of the characters. Genuinely, by the way, only know 2 names of 2 characters in the movie. I have to force myself to remember any of the other ones.
Nah, but that's the kind of movie it is. I think that's what's really jarring for people. It doesn't have a Star Wars feel to it, and I think that's the point. And that's the thing, like, it's like the Dirty Dozen or any Tarantino film. Like, you can remember the characters, but not their names. But you know what type they were. You know, it's the blind guy, big gun guy.
No,
like, seriously.
The names of the soldiers from Saving Private Ryan?
No.
I've never seen it.
Okay. But you can tell who it was. I mean,
it's a war movie.
You know the sniper. Yes. You know the guy who was trying to save the kid.
Oh, I do know Vin Diesel. That was him.
And herein, this is my biggest problem with the film, is because it doesn't feel like Star Wars. If you take out the Stormtrooper flavor, you take out Vader, you take out the iconic, fighter jets and whatever, the TIEs, the X-Wings, whatever, it's not Star Wars.
Well, okay.
It's just a sprinkling of Star Wars flavor, and I don't like that. And I know there's no way you could have put Force users into this, because they were non-existent currently in canon. But
there
didn't feel right. There was even a lack of aliens.
The original script did have a Force user in it.
There's a ton of aliens.
I don't know. I don't feel it was a lot. I don't agree on the lack of aliens. What I was going to say was, I appreciate the argument. I can frame that argument the same way that Trump supporters comment that Trump would have won the popular vote if California wasn't part of the United States. Like, no, I'm saying, like, it's the same thing. If we remove these sections, if we removed Vader, if we remove these things in the movie, it wouldn't feel like Star Wars. I get what you're saying about that, but at the same time, it's like, but that still was in the movie, and that was what tied you to Star Wars.
It's a suicide mission story that works in any kind of setting you want to throw it in if you just change a few details.
And I agree.
That's how story archetypes work.
But that's the thing.
And Star Wars is any samurai story, so what's your point?
I get what Brad's saying, and my response, though, is that, but that's actually what I wanted out of this, personally. I wanted a suicide mission war movie that just coincidentally was in the Star Wars universe. For me, this isn't like when Star Trek Beyond came out earlier this year, my comment was like, I told people I love Star Trek 2009, but I openly stated it was never a Star Trek movie. It was only a Star Trek movie in the sense that it had Kirk in it and that it had the Enterprise. Like, that was why it was a Star Trek movie. And Into Darkness was unmitigated garbage. Beyond was the first of the new Star Trek things that actually felt like a Star Trek film. It felt like it had the pacing. It felt like it had that humor. It felt like it actually had those story beats. So, but what I was actually looking for more in this movie, I didn't want it to necessarily be a Star Wars film. I wanted it to feel like the expanded universe, where it's like, oh, there's a stormtrooper over there, and there's this thing over there, and, I'm learning more about the backstory, the other stuff of this universe. And that's what I got out of it. And that's, even the parts I didn't like of the movie, no matter what, actually felt that way from start to finish. Between the Church of the Force, between aspects, between the little callbacks and things like that, I felt like I was getting that at every turn. What I was going to say before, my issue with the movie is I think it's the single worst acting of almost any movie I've seen in 10 years. And from legitimately good actors. Felicity, Jones, right? Jin, I think is a great actress. Almost everything I've seen her in is great. There was no emotion from her at any point. And during like, where, she is with Saw Gerrera, his character, and like, she falls down on her knees, that whole thing. I almost booed in the theater. I thought that was like it just felt a lot like her acting just felt so mediocre and so disinterested for much of the film. And I felt the same way from, Diego Luna as Cassian. They have these highly emotional, high charged scenes that just felt so muted. And everyone jumps to Forrest Whitaker as bad acting in the movie. But by comparison, I thought he was amazing, because I just felt like our two stars were just so muted when you compare to, what are their names? Churu and Bawei, I believe.
Yeah, Churu and, is it just Baz? Hold on. Yeah.
Baz. literally my
Big guy,
computer will not
blonde guy,
open.
right?
Yeah, what?
Big guy, blonde guy, right?
The
Blind guy,
Asian
big gun.
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Asian characters, but compared to them, who were phenomenal acting and phenomenal characterizations and things like that, it just felt so, again, muted until the third act when they genuinely seemed to be acting. And that, again, like, that was my biggest issue with the film. And I meant to talk to Christina. She saw the movie again this weekend if she'd felt differently, because that was one thing we highly agreed on. If she felt differently, because it just felt to me in many regards, and it made it difficult for me to get into the story for anything other than, oh, there's an Easter egg. Oh, there's an Easter egg. Oh, there's an Easter egg.
Yep.
Kind of stuff.
I think on a personal note, my biggest problem with Jen was her turnaround. Like, she's like, oh,
It's a
doesn't
freaking
matter,
180 suddenly.
Huh? Say what?
It's a 180. Oh, my dad's dead. I guess I'm a rebel now. Like a real rebel.
It's just like, there's no transition at all. All of a sudden, she goes from not giving a shit to, like, trying to rally an entire, rebel meeting, and then, they won't listen to her, so she just often steals something. Like, she steals the ship and stuff. It's just like, there's no development at all there.
See,
But
the stealing the
At the same
ship...
time, though, like, it's just like everything just kind of clicked with her at that point. Like, the whole weight of the story with everything. The weight of the situation, and the fact that she didn't even know that her dad was, she didn't know if, what her dad had told him to do was true or not.
Not like Cassidy even says it's like all of a sudden the rebellion's real for you. It's almost like she kind of just wants to fulfill her father's dying wish.
It feels like they took out some important scenes that made that make a lot more sense.
Now that I do feel that there's a lot of jumping around, so it is disjointed. I do feel like there's a lot of stuff that could have been cut out that didn't need to be in there, and some stuff that should have been added, or I don't know. Sounds like something was missing.
Almost feels like Tarantino, filmed it and just forgot to edit it at some points.
There's a lot of jump cuts in the movie. A lot of that kind of stuff, and maybe it's
which
a
is
directorial.
something else we're also not used to in a Star Wars film.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe it's a directorial vision on that. The director's vision, and that's just his style. Which
dude did like Monsters and Godzilla.
Yeah, so I mean, I get that, and I don't know. There were just aspects of it that took me out of the movie. But again, then there were the great parts. There were the great parts of it. I'm one of the people who thinks that the Tarkin stuff, that was spoiled for me going in, that he was in it, and I was really disappointed. And then it wasn't actually spoiled in the end, spoiled at all, because holy crap! I want Peter, even though he had nothing to do with it, I want Peter Cushing to posthumously get at least a Golden Globe for that performance, because I'm one of the people who actually loved the shit out of it. I thought the CGI was great. I thought there was a couple of twitchy parts of it, but
there's definitely an uncanny valley in there, which is just unsettling.
It bothers the shit out of me every time he was on screen.
It never bothered me as much as like Jeff Bridges.
Oh, well, I mean, it came from the same place. The only time I actually seen this work well is maybe Civil War when they did young Downey Jr., maybe? I don't know.
That actually I thought was flawless. Actually, that never bothered me in the slightest during the movie. I kind of mentioned to you, Josh, and I feel like this is the main problem. You're trying to make a real life, like a CG character based off a real person. They feel like focusing on the face way too much, and then they feel like, let's look at all the facial twitches you could pick up, and they just over emote, I think, and just kind of breaks you out of it. I definitely agree.
Like, I support the use of this where it's necessary to go back and create these characters without, trying to alter their looks too much.
Well, the problem is, just don't make every scene a close-up of their face.
Well, that too, but, like, I feel like it needs more work. Like, if you're gonna do something like that in, the Han movie or the supposed, what's the other one they're doing?
There's the rumored Obi-Wan movie.
Yeah, the Obi-Wan movie. If you're gonna go back and do the Obi-Wan movie, do it, but work on the tech. There's something wrong with the tech to me.
Actually, no. I think that's kind of the point, too. Don't focus on the character in there. It always seems like that's the general focus, as is the main character speaking. You probably should, but I think that's why RBJ worked in Civil War. It's like, Yeah, he was a focus character, but he wasn't the focus on that scene.
No, almost always in those scenes, he was on screen, with his parents, or he was on screen. There was only, if I remember, again, I only saw the movie once, but I remember there was only like one real close up on him, and that's as it's, changing. And that was fine, in the nature of it. And then also, I do believe that scene was not as bothersome because, you become clear very quick, kind of early into that scene, that this isn't like the past, this is a memory kind of thing. So, I feel like that is interpreted differently as well.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's just weird that a digital Peter Cushing got more screen time than the actual Peter Cushing.
Yeah, I know, he's in Rogue One more, but again, he served a purpose. Tarkin served a purpose, and I think he's one of the cases, much like Boba Fett, that I don't think George Lucas had any remote level of idea of the popularity that character was going to have. Years later,
like he's been boosting up. I mean, they use him a lot on Rebels and stuff like it too, don't they?
He had 2 arcs. He had 2 3-episode arcs in Clone Wars, and then he was heavily part of season 2 of Rebels. And then there was a whole entire book written by James Luceno, which is simultaneously canon and not canon, because it was a book that was released before the decanonization of the old expanded universe, but there's nothing in it that goes against the new canon. So it's like, it's both canon and not canon simultaneously.
But, well, here's the thing. We've been more upset if they actually tried to get another actor, which I'm surprised they didn't do the same thing they did with Mon Mothma, because she actually played her before in episode 3. And actually was a stand-in for Tarkin in episode 3, who looked really good, we know from Farscape Wayne.
At a distance, with heavy prosthetics.
Yeah, I mean, the Wayne Pygram looks, granted he was extraordinarily sick at the time, which is part of why he looked so well for the role.
His character Scorpius in Farscape is essentially Tarkin.
Oh, no, Scorpius is Tarkin on acid. Without a shadow of a doubt. He is if Grand Moff Tarkin, Darth Vader, the Emperor, had an LSD drug trip that created a child. Like, I'm like that is like literally how I feel about that character, which is why a lot of people for a long time, when Farscape was a newer show, considered him the first truly terrifying sci-fi villain since, Vader. And he was ranked for a lot of people up at that level of things. But,
So,
yeah.
Josh, you mentioned books just now. Would you feel better if this story was a novel?
I mean, it is. You can go read the novelization, but
I mean, but like if it was just a novel.
If it was a pure novel, no, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, it certainly is a story that should have always been a novel.
If it was like a movie special for Star Wars Rebels.
But again, I think it was a movie that was overall good. It was just something is either missing in some points, and then my issues with the acting, and it just threw it off. But that being said, the third act, from pretty much the moment they land, someone remind me of the play. I cannot open up a browser window for some reason on my computer. Scarif. Thank you. From pretty much the moment they start, they give the name of their ship is Rogue One and start the descent onto Scarif, until that movie ends, is my favorite thing Star Wars has ever done. That was the war movie I've always wanted. It was filmed beautifully. It was done beautifully. I felt every scene hit it out of the park. It just felt like everything that I wanted when we first saw that original poster, that original teaser. That was everything I wanted the movie to be. And it was the last 30 minutes. The use of footage from deleted scenes from Return of the Jedi to bring what was supposed to be the first female pilots shown, which was supposed to be in Return of the Jedi, but it was considered too progressive at the time to be able to include it by the studio, that they actually brought those people back. The fact that we got to see, Red Leader, we got to see characters that die in A New Hope, just beforehand kind of thing,
I'll say, going back to seeing that again, that is actually very jarring. It's like, oh man, clear picture. That's from an older movie.
Oh, see, that's the thing is, I was 100% aware from the first time they pulled that stunt it never surprised me. And I was literally sitting in my seat, with my knees to my chest, sobbing, uncontrollably sobbing, because you know how I am about nostalgia stuff.
Oh no, it's awesome. It's just, God, I didn't notice it till the second time, or
See,
it might have been because I also went to go see it first time. I was tired.
I was tired, but like I was just so in the zone, like, oh my god, that's that thing, and that thing. I didn't actually notice the Return of the Jedi stuff. I noticed it was grainy, but I didn't notice why. And if I watching the movie the first time, and I ended up watching a couple scenes people post online. I felt like they actually grainied up the newer film stuff a little bit to try to make it less off-putting. But I just loved that kind of stuff. And again, I loved the setting placement, of things. And
well, it's nice to not go play, be on Star Wars. You're not like on a damn desert planet for most of the movie.
It was very nice that we didn't have that aspect. And it just was,
and this one, like, there was a desert-ish planet, but it was awesome because you see like huge knockdown statues of Jedis.
Yep, I mean, you have what became the Church of the Force, essentially. You had that whole aspect, and then it got destroyed, which was kind of cathartic for all of us who are sick of desert planets. Or,
well, then we went to the beach, which was just awesome. It's like,
the shore troopers might be my favorite new armor, and I cannot wait for conventions to start seeing shore troopers everywhere.
Yes. It's almost like someone's just played through Star Wars toys forever and decided to go, why, how the come they're never on the beach? Fuck it, they're on the beach now.
Yeah. But what I liked about the movie is that they really just went for it and just fucking killed everyone because there was a very long period of time where I really wholeheartedly thought Jyn was going to survive, and that maybe because, well, there was also the rumors that she'd had, in her contract for more movies and things like that, which was confirmed after the fact. That kind of stuff. I really thought that she was going to make it through, and it's like, okay, they've killed everyone, literally everyone off. She has to survive, and then Cassian appears, and it's like, oh no, she's dead. Like, he was dead, and she's there. Nope. How are they doing it? Kind of thing. And I really enjoy that aspect, even though I do feel like they could have kept someone around. Potentially.
I really think that's the perfect way to explain. Why aren't there rest in the movies? Or don't we have these stormtroopers? Why don't we have U-Wings? Well, it all blew up.
Well, the perfect reason why she and the other ones that weren't in the movie could have been there on another mission. Like, I mean, seriously, like, there is other shit going on in the movies. Yeah. Like, they could have had her appear in episode 8 as an old woman, like, who's like a consultant, essentially. She's a general. Like, they really could have pulled one of those things. And where were you during all this stuff? Missions. Go fuck yourself.
You're just really off the grid type character who knows all the shit going down.
Who sent the Bothans to get the second Death Star's plans? Like, I mean, like, it literally could have been something like that. I'm familiar with how to get Death Star plans. I ran that mission.
Who knows? Maybe they escaped because messed up face and Wars guy made it somehow off of Jeddah.
Yeah, fair enough. But, aspects that I liked about this movie is, there's always been that empty seat in A New Hope when, with all the Moffs sitting around on the Death Star, and we now know that's Krennic's seat. And just little fill-in things. We now know we now know why, all the rebel troops were fucking terrified at the start of the original movie, and why they were, like, so shitty at their job, because they literally been in battle for, like, 4 hours earlier, and had just watched the majority of their friends get massacred by Vader.
And we also learn, to be a special, elite stormtrooper, all you have to do is aim.
That is apparently all you have to do. But I was to say, like, we know why Vader is so, testy at the start of A New Hope, because he literally just watched, these people fly off. We also know that he does have the castle on Mustafar, which I have been, like, I wrote fan fiction about his castle on a lava planet when I was like 8 years old. It was the first fan fiction I ever wrote. So to have that canon.
Do you want a Castle Mustafar playset, Josh?
So badly. Are you fucking kidding?
A straight, like, Overlord type castle too. Like, it wasn't just a building there.
No, it was a monument. It was a ridiculous castle kind of thing.
Well, here's the thing too. Do you think that scene was needed, by the way?
Oh,
Yes, absolutely, because it definitely
abso-fucking-lutely.
showed Darth Vader's pun game is on point.
No, but I mean,
True enough. All it proves to me is that what's the actor that plays Krennic? Oh, Ben Mendelsohn is meant to be in movies just to be bossed around by people with breathing apparatuses. Think about it. He was
Yes.
in Dark Knight Rises when the guy who he played Daggett, when Bane put the hand on him. That was him. And nice to be bossed around by Darth Vader. So I'm waiting for his next film where someone to beat the problem just slaps him around a bit.
Krennic, the Krennic aspect was, I could take it or leave it. That scene could have been removed from him, but showing Vader at that point and establishing more of his arc and, really making Vader into a badass, giving us what's going to theoretically be obviously they're going to probably do more movies taking place this time, but potentially the last time we really get to truly see Vader as this ominous force.
You need to watch Rebels season 3.
I'm caught up on it. What do you mean?
Okay, all right.
Well, that's the thing too. I wonder if this is to make up, because the last time we saw Vader on film, he was just screaming out no.
No,
Very long, exaggerated.
No, this is to give us the Vader we needed to have back. I mean, as President Rebels does a phenomenal job with Vader.
The thing is, I never can remember seeing a villain that was such an unstoppable force, like Terminator, since I don't even know, man.
No, it was
he did not stop.
It was ridiculous and it was impressive, and I absolutely loved what they did with him. I also loved, speaking of Rebels, you mentioned it, all the callbacks to Rebels, which, I mean, yeah, it's part of the main universe, canon, but it's still a side story for all intents and purposes. Rebels is a cartoon that a lot of Star Wars fans don't watch because either what happened with Clone Wars, initially they didn't like the show, so they never touched it, or the ending of Clone Wars pissed them off, so they never touched Rebels. Rebels is a show that was not particularly good its first season, and then just suddenly became really good at the end of its first season, and then had a exceptional second season, and has only improved with its third. But to hear, on the PA system, a call for General Syndulla to see Chopper in the film.
I missed that.
I didn't see Chopper, but some people pointed out, is that Chopper there? And then it was confirmed by, Garrett Edwards yes, that is 100% Chopper, and it was confirmed by Dave Filoni as well.
Where was he at?
When Jin and them are leaving there, you can look it up. There's a scene of, I think it's when they're leaving, there's a scene of a bunch of people walking out, and you see Chopper just off to the side. He's just off to the left. Kind of thing. It's unnoticeable thing. It's a minor thing, but it was also confirmed more or less by Dave Filoni. The question was asked about things. Okay, we know Hera is alive, by pretty much in A New Hope. We essentially know that she's alive at least by the beginning of that film. So, and we know Chopper's around. So what does that mean? How is Rebels gonna work? And he pretty much all but flat out said that, Rebels is building to Rogue One. Because, the Ghost is also in the movie.
Well, that's the thing too. Rogue One kind of binds all the series, all the animated stuff too, because it pulls from Rebels. Mm-hmm. It surprisingly admits that the first three trilogies happened by directly bringing in Jimmy Smits, and also just referencing things that happened there too,
and bringing in the actress who played Mon Mothma, who was only in deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith, but they brought her through. Force Awakens disavows the prequels, while Rogue One's makes them whole.
It makes them these served a purpose.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I appreciate the most about it is it does that. And, overall, again, I have my issues with the movie, but the most important thing it did, as far as I'm concerned, is it proved that the expanded universe can be in films, which is all I ever wanted in my childhood, was for the books I read to be real. So, I want to touch, can you hear Roran?
Slightly.
Give me 1 sec.
Should have said no.
We're not live, so whatevs. All I want is let's do some final touchings on Rogue One. If there's any final thoughts everyone has But then I want to discuss the future of a Star Wars story of these things. So does anyone have any final thoughts they'd like to really close up with?
I guess I can go with it.
Sure, Justin.
The reason why I like Rogue One so much is how much it does add to the universe and how much it actually makes Episode 4 better. And by filling in plot holes directly... I feel like Rogue One and Episode 4 belong together as in the Pact, and then it's Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I feel like that's the sequel for that movie, and now Episode 4 is the sequel to this. Like, Rogue One gives Episode 4 so much meaning. Even the title has new weight to it, A New Hope. Like, first I kind of thought, did that mean Luke? And now it kind of, like, is directly the new hope of the Death Star plans a way to defeat the Empire.
Yeah, it does retitle. It does redistribute the title of the film.
You've reminded me of something I realized after that. I want a supercut of Rogue One and 4 together.
Like, in what sense? So just literally just sit down and it just goes right into the movie?
Cut the credits, cut the crawl, just let it keep going. I want to see it.
It does well, actually. Of course, given that you have to keep in mind the first one's a 70s movie, and because I actually went from seeing Rogue One, I came home and watched Episode 4. It works well-ish.
Episode 4 is still a hard watch for me.
It's still my favorite Star Wars movie.
It's a great movie, but it's very long, and it's slowly degrading. It's not bad, but it's a hard watch.
So, fair enough.
I would say, actually, try to watch it now after watching Rogue One. Like, everything kind of makes a little more sense.
Well, I mean, we now know that it wasn't just a design flaw. Like, yes. The Empire might think it was a design flaw, and the Rebels, because most, other than...
Which I think that hologram scene was my favorite scene in the movie.
Wait.
Well, just the way Mads Mikkelsen telling about his plans.
I love Mads Mikkelsen, but I hate that scene. Just because it was just too much, it was just too much the Department of Exposition for me.
Oh, don't you...
And which I love the Department of Exposition. Goddamn it, I'm a fan of Babylon 5, which is just exposition for 4 fucking seasons. Like, I love that kind of content, but it just didn't work. But again, I think that actually had a lot to do because again, I just didn't like the acting in the movie. I thought Mads is phenomenal. I want to make that clear. But most of it, I wasn't a fan of. But yeah, we have this answer now that, most of the rebels might think it was a design flaw and the Empire might think it's a design flaw, but it was really just Galen Erso being like, go fuck yourself.
Which, by the way, it pretty much it was, but that's the other thing too, I kind of like, I do like, now we got an actual idea of the scale of the Empire.
Continue.
Do I need to restart that?
Yes.
Another thing I like, it adds, it's like, we actually have the scale of the Empire, not just the size of the Death Star to everything, how big of a reach they have in, across the galaxy. And also, we know that, now get a better idea how the Rebels aren't all, smiles and sunshine. Like, they are dirty, do bad things to people.
Yeah.
They're not.
That's the best thing about Cassian. That's the best thing about his character. That's the best thing about his supervisor character, which I don't remember the name of. No, I mean, that was...
I want to see more
seeing
of
the
that.
dark side of the rebellion was amazing. What, Brad?
I want to see more of that. It's necessary.
No, we really need to see the fact that, yeah, the Empire is this evil thing, but the rebels are not squeaky clean by any means. The books did a great job on dealing with that in the old expanded universe, but we never really saw that in the movies, and we still don't even see that all that much. I want to see more. I want to see more darkness in this.
I forgot. Have you read Aftermath or the sequel to Aftermath? Imperial loyalty officer turned rogue.
Okay.
Is one of the main characters. And
I know.
He is a delight.
John literally came over to John, who used to do Issue Zero with, came over to my house early this year, and was just like, I have a book. I have something you should read, and he left I think 2 copies of Aftermath in different parts of the house for me to read. because I'd been refusing to read it. And then I was like, John, my issue with reading is nothing to do with anything. My issue with reading, like, I haven't had time to read it. Also, I physically am incapable of reading physical books anymore, but thank you. It was kind of my response. But, no, I need to read it. And, I've actually officially, with Rogue One, actually came to the conclusion that I'm not going to read every Star Wars book anymore. Weirdly enough, because I just have come to the conclusion that at this point in my life, I just don't have the time I once did. And the patience even to read everything. But this movie, by the way, was why I love the book Lost Stars and recommend it to every Star Wars fan. And I think it's the single best Star Wars story ever told. Because it's literally a story of every frickin' movie, essentially. At least for the original trilogy and parts of Force Awakens. So, that's why. Any final thoughts, Ryan?
I think that this movie wasn't bad. I think it is definitely a victim of over-scrutinization by assholes like you. I mean, if you just sit back, I'm just picking, but really, if you sit back and just try to enjoy it as a movie, I think you'd enjoy it a lot more. If you try to nitpick every little thing that is and is not Star Wars, you're trying to nitpick something that is not real, in a sense. And
it's still real like to me, damn it.
And but that kind of mindset just kind of will throw you off. Like, you know, the first 5 minutes of the movie, Brad was pissed off because there was no crawl. Who gives a shit? I mean, if anything should piss you off about the first 5 minutes of the movie is how slow it is. You know, that's the only thing that I have an issue with the movie is, you know, we not to beat a dead horse, but like the first hour, slow as hell. And then it picks up. But when it picks up and it gets to that third act and it hits the money shot, boom, it's great. And it picks up really well. And just like Justin said, you know, it streamlines very well into episode 4. And I mean, I can't think of a better way. You know, the beginning of episode 4, you know exactly why they're in that shit situation. You know exactly why they're panicking because they saw what happened probably 30 minutes ago, and they are terrified for their lives. You know, so I think it's, you know, as a movie I thought it was great. As a Star Wars movie I thought it was okay, but as far as something that's going to tie up the loose ends with everything, I thought it was great.
I think that's a fair overview.
And that Darth Vader pun, I laughed so hard. People stared at me. It was bad. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Our theater, I was tired, and our theater laughed so quickly at that pun for the section, at least around us, that I actually forgot the pun. Like, I heard it, people laughed, and then I was like, wait, what is everyone laughing at? Like, my brain erased that information because I was startled, because I was tired. So,
I think I need to go back to this and watch it again.
Well, that's the thing. Treat it, even though you may not think it feels like a Star Wars movie, treat it like a Star Wars movie. Go back and see it again, like you've seen every other one.
Well, see here, and I'm wondering, you guys were sleepy when you saw it the first time. I wasn't quite awake yet. I went to a 9:45 showing in the morning. So
tiredness certainly is affecting. There's no question about that.
I was dead tired, but I stayed awake through this whole movie. Unlike when I went to go see Spectre, I actually fell asleep during that.
I was sick when I saw it.
It's the only James
Don't worry,
Bond.
if you were good, it's still not good.
It's the only modern James Bond movie that I have not seen in theaters. So, and I'm fine with that. But okay. So the last thing I would personally like to cover, let's just a few minutes before we cut loose, is. So this was a Star Wars story. This was our first expanded universe as a movie thing. We know we're getting a Han Solo movie. There are rumors of both Obi-Wan and Yoda and Boba Fett stories. So right now we have our single character focus things. But I
was just thinking about a Yoda movie. I don't know if I could spend an entire movie with Yoda.
I think that's the worst.
You just need to have in there every little bit. You don't need a whole helping.
Oh no, I think that of all their options is the worst one. Yoda's bar mitzvah was Yoda's bar mitzvah was a funny Futurama joke, but it does not need to be a goddamn movie. I've said that for years. But we have our character things. But what else would we like? What is your top one or two things you would like to see? Whether it is something you've heard about in the movies, whether it is a book or a storyline from the old expanded universe which is gone, or even it is a character. What do you want to see as a Star Wars film? Brad, since you're kind of moving around a lot.
Two things. I want to see the aftermath, not the books, but I want to see that set of characters on film in some fashion. Now, I would take even animated form, like Rebels, but I mean, it'd have to be an adult theme because that's a very adult themed book. And I want to see something involving the Shan legacy, not necessarily Satele or Bastila, but something involving them and why they were so important.
Okay, so essentially you want the Shans to be made canon, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Excuse me. Let's see here. What about Justin? Anything stand out for you?
Oh, that I would want to see?
Yeah.
God, I mean, they've been hitting at it, but Shadows of the Empire might make a good movie.
Shadows of the Empire, I think if they retool it a little bit, actually a lot of it, it would work in the same way that Rogue One did, showing us a side story of what was already going on. It would work in that sense.
And they would have to have like a 30-minute thing where you didn't know that you were supposed to shoot the big part of the ATST, and you just spent like 30 minutes shooting the legs on it, and like just only taking away 1% of its life.
Oh yeah, that part.
Yeah, no, that sounds alright.
Or we like walk in and like a Wampa comes out of the base because for some reason it was kept in there. And it's, I don't know, something kind of going back to Old Republic, which I want to actually give a shout out to the movie, the Hammerhead Corvette. God, that was like ripped directly from Old Republic, wasn't it?
It was ripped in design, definitely. There's a huge amount of similarity. There's no way to avoid that. But the Hammerhead, I mean, essentially is considered, at least in that, it's considered its first debut was in Star Wars Rebels, and this was its first on-screen thing, as far as, like Wikipedia and stuff like that considered, but it definitely is very similar in design to stuff from Old Republic. There's no way around that. It's definitely it has that, design to it. Ryan, anything stand out for you?
Two things that I want to see. Going back to Old Republic, I would like to see some of the story of maybe before with Darth Revan, and then actually the actual story of Old Republic. Like seeing that in a film, I think that'd be kind of cool. Of course, it'd have to do some crazy overhauls and tweaks, and take out a lot of choices because the choose your own adventure movie would be kind of weird. But the other thing I want to know is, I mean, while I don't want to see a Yoda movie, I do want to know more about him. Like, you know, they don't really ever say anything about his own world or his race or anything. You know, like, just, you know, even if it's a 30-minute little YouTube video or something, you know, throw me a bone, let me know what's going on with that.
Yeah, well, as far as the old Republic, like that era, I question if they could ever really do an Old Republic movie, because I don't know if the mainstream fans would ever be, like, who just aren't aware of Star Wars lore, would be able to wrap their heads around that, quite as well, that this is legitimately a long time ago in the universe you're aware of, kind of thing. But as far as like an Old Republic kind of thing, like, going like, I'm talking about like a couple hundred years, I think even like, I want to see, an earlier point in the Jedi Order, like, let's say 700 years ago in the storyline, and Yoda could be part of the film. He's not the focus character, but we're seeing like him as a Jedi Knight, as just one of the Jedi Knights kind of thing. And we're seeing that era. I would love to see, that kind of aspect of the world. Like, that's something I'd be really curious about seeing on film, and I think could work very well in the same way that period pieces, like, you know, like, Victorian England works. I think it could potentially work in that same way. Not to have a focus movie on it, but goddamn speaking of Lost Stars, I want to see Thane Carroll and Sienna Rhea, the stars of Lost Stars. I want to see in a movie, I mean, they are technically in every single movie because they've actually picked extras from the films that you only see from behind shadowed that are them. If you read the books, they are now in every single film, clear as day, but, I want to see them as actually name-checked characters, kind of thing. And I've been trying to think of stories, like of all of us, I'm pretty sure the only one who's really read a lot of the old Expanded Universe books and things like that. I would, you know, again, older Republic kind of things, I would love to see Darth Bane, be brought into canon officially and made into a film. The trilogy written by Drew Karpyshyn is one of the best things in Star Wars. It's got a couple of weak points, I think, in the second book and parts of the third book, but overall it's a phenomenal read, still is, and it's technically not decanonized until they, do something else with that era. I'd like to see Star Wars Rebels characters get brought into films, though I don't know how the hell they could even remotely ever do that, because I think only Hera is even remotely possible, because I won't accept anyone else's voice for Sabine, and the actual actress looks nothing even remotely imaginably like the character, so I don't know how the hell they could do that. But I'd like to see more of that, and then, there was just stuff like, I don't know how they could bring it in, but like, just aspects of like Courtship of Princess Leia and books like that I would just love to see, but all of that has been, like, Rebels and Clone Wars decanonized the shit out of that book. Cause it was where Dathomir was, brought in. So it's like, I keep trying to think of what I want to see, and at this point, it's really just the rumored stuff. I want to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi film. And I'd like to see a crime movie. If I have to just choose an arbitrary thing, yes. I want to see Star Wars 1313, the film. I want to see a seedy underbelly of Coruscant film. You could literally rip off an existing movie, but I want to see The Godfather in Star Wars.
The Godfather, all starring Hutz.
No, yes, dead serious. I would love to see something like that. I would love to see the bounty hunters. I would love to see, how the Hutt cartels actually works. I want to see a mob movie in Star Wars.
That's one thing that Old Republic does really well. The MMO, it does really well with the crime aspect. Has really touched on. I want to pose a question. Do we think that episodes 8 and 9 are going to answer enough of the questions of what happened between 6 and 7?
That you need to answer enough that we don't need a movie?
Yeah, and or do you think that we will get a novel or I think you'll get a movie story to cover it?
Oh, you're gonna get a movie. It's gonna be the Boba Fett movie.
The Boba Fett's gonna cover between 6 and 7?
I personally believe that Boba Fett's movie is going to, in some degree, cover 6 to 7. I think that is going to be the focus period, and it's going to flash back to younger years. I think it's going to be him telling stories to, like, a granddaughter or something.
And to that extent, do we want to see Vader running around the galaxy wiping out all the Jedi? Do we need to see that on film? Do we need that on a book?
The Bothans. Him wiping out the Bothans.
I think we don't necessarily need to see that on film. Vader stuff. I don't think it's necessary. I think we know it well enough. I think it's been covered in enough media at this point. I think we are possibly gonna get, like, Luke, coming across, some visual of Vader slaughtering younglings or something like that. Like, I think Hayden Christensen's gonna be in movie 8 or 9, probably 8. That's just what I feel like, and we're just gonna see, like, Luke or Leia coming across, like, old not holocron footage, but old holo footage of the Temple Massacre and stuff like that. I don't know, it's just something about that just feels like we're gonna see that, or maybe it'll be a Rey vision or something like that. As far as, again, I think 6 and 7, I feel like we need to see stuff, and I don't think it's even remotely possible that the new trilogy can even come close to answering those questions. I think we're gonna have a Star Wars story. I think that will, again, be the Boba Fett thing. And then, I think that's about it for me. My throat's actually starting to really hurt from talking.
Shout out to K2SO, who we didn't mention the whole time.
We didn't mention, but Jesus Christ, the first thing that I read, after the premiere was people were like, go buy K2SO figures, because those things are going to be sold out. And you know what?
How do you know if you get K2SO or just another Imperial droid?
Pretty much, but...
Tudyk.
But no, Alan Tudyk...
Tudyk did a phenomenal job.
Was just absolutely phenomenal. One of the single best characters ever. Literally somehow combined the charm of R2, BB-8, and HK-47 into one character. Was really how I felt about him. absolutely stellar. And of all the deaths, was the second most I cried.
Yeah.
For
By the way, proper
go
way to
ahead,
throw
Justin.
comic relief in there besides that, Ryan's favorite Vader pun. Like, I think, like, when you take a serious movie like this and you need to put some humor in it, some humor is, like, kind of like a droid that just says what the fuck he wants to say is the way to go.
I think it worked very well, and I think it was very apropos to most of the movie. The other thing I want to say is, this is really headcanon because it's not been acknowledged, but it's something that myself and a bunch of others agree on. I like that we had Star Wars' first gay couple. Cause, Jiru and Baz, as far as I'm concerned, are a married couple.
I was going to say, that's not confirmed, is it?
It's not confirmed that they're a couple or that they're brothers. Nothing is confirmed, and it was implied before the movie came out. The comment was made by J.J. Abrams that Episode 8, I think it was going to have our first gay character in Star Wars, and then I think it was Garrett Edwards or something made a comment like, maybe not the first. Like, he made some throwaway comment about that, and everyone's like, is Rogue One gonna? And you can interpret that however you want until canon says otherwise. You can interpret it. But the passion, the banter between them was very old married couple.
There's good war buddies.
And again, old war buddies and married couple really kind of becomes the same thing. There's a joke that in war you end up becoming a married couple with, at least members of your squad mates. It's a huge trope of war movies. But it felt very much like married couple. And then the way he reacted and avenged him, again, that's how it felt to me. And I know I have a lot of friends who felt the same way. So until I'm told otherwise, that was Star Wars' first gay couple. And I'm totally happy with it because I liked it. And they were my favorite characters. And when I was buying Princess Leia Funkos today, all the ones they had were only add-on items from Amazon, which an add-on item from Amazon means you can't order unless you spend $25 or more. So I've got over $25 by buying their Funkos as well. Because I genuinely loved their characters. Okay. We could obviously tackle, with Carrie Fisher's death, we could talk about episode 8 and stuff like that, but we've gone over a long time now. That's something we can talk about once we get some trailers for the first trailer for episode 8, which, is gonna probably be Star Wars Celebration in April. We discussed in the past podcast, we were trying to figure out when, but I think that's actually when it's gonna fall out. So we'll talk more about what we think her prominence with it and what they're gonna do with her when that time comes. It's still too raw, too fresh. You want me to do the outro, Brad, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, as always, you can find us, constantlycalibrating.com, youtube.com/concalpods. Where you're watching this, please subscribe, let us know comments what you thought of the episode. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, and Google Play Store. Please leave us reviews and let us know what you think of the show. We're on Instagram, Constant Calibrating, Facebook.com/Constant Calibrating, at ConCalPod on Twitter. As you can see in this lovely episode, I'm at Bear Punch. Brad is at OG's, at OG Xanos. Justin's at The Aging Gamer. And Ryan is at RyDaddyF. Again, all written on the screen. You can see just clear as day. Follow, let us know stuff. And then, final stuff is, subscribe, follow wherever you see this. Twitch.tv/Constant Calibrating is our Twitch. Please go follow. And, thank you very much, everyone. We'll bid you good sign off with just one final thing that, thank you, Carrie Fisher, for everything you did for us over the years. For the entertainment industry and everything. A moment of sign off. Alright, I'm gonna hit stop.